Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to be reading Mystery at Dad's Office. Next week on your midterm, you will also have a realistic fiction passage. Remember that realistic fiction means that it's a fiction story, so it's fake, but it could really happen in real life. So there's not going to be anything that sounds like it would be imaginary in this story. There's not going to be superpowers or any kind of animals talking or anything like that. It's going to be about something that could really happen. Okay, so our author's purpose with realistic fiction is the same as with regular fiction. So it's going to be to entertain, and we already said our genre was realistic fiction. So this story is going to have a plot. So it's going to have a beginning, middle, and end. And it should have characters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and chunk my page. I'm just going to chunk it into two parts because this is how we do fiction stories. Mystery at Dad's Office. Nathan stood at the vending machine in the break room of his father's office building. It was early Saturday evening, and he and his little brother Alex had come to hang out at the office while their dad worked. Alex crossed his arms. I didn't want mint gum. Nathan shrugged his shoulders. Dad and I both voted for it, so that makes it fair, he said. The boy stepped into the dark hall as Alex complained. Next time, I get to choose. You didn't even ask. Ah! Alex suddenly jumped back into the break room, crashing into Nathan. Watch out, Nathan yelled. Flattened against the wall, Alex asked quietly, Didn't Dad say we were going to be the only people here? Oh, so we need to write something. So let's mention our setting. They're at their father's office building. So I'm just going to highlight father's office building. And it's Saturday evening. They are going to get gum out of the vending machine. So I'm going to write on the side, the boys are going to get gum, but something scares them because we don't know what scared them yet. No one else is here, Alex, his brother scolded. Why are you whispering? Alex shut his eyes tightly and said, There was someone standing at the end of the hall staring at us. I think he's watching us. Nathan sighed. His little brother could be a real pain sometimes, especially when his imagination ran wild, but Nathan decided he would agree with Alex just to try to calm him. Nathan found a pencil and notepad. Why don't you sit down and tell me what the guy looked like, he suggested. He was huge and dressed in all red, and he was really mean-looking, with beady eyes that sort of glowed, like they were on fire, Alex exclaimed. So it does kind of sound like his imagination might be going if he thinks the person's eyes are glowing. So let's say Alex thinks he saw a man. And then I'm just going to bracket in paragraph 9 because that tells us about what the man looked like to him. So Nathan doesn't really believe it at this point, but he just doesn't want to push away the fact that he's a little freaked out. He wants to validate him and then kind of move on. So let's see. We've got a illustration here, and it looks like the scene that we were just reading about where Nathan is listening to Alex tell the story. It looks like they're in the break room. So I'm just going to do one small note for this page because it's only five short paragraphs. Something Alex said made Nathan a little suspicious. Let me take a look, he said. The brothers tiptoed towards the doorway. Finally, Nathan leaned around the corner just the tiniest bit. When he saw a movement at the far end of the hall, he didn't even stop to see what the person looked like. Run, Alex, Nathan yelled, dropping the gum. He grabbed his brother's hand and raced down the hallway. The light from Dad's office was like a nightlight offering comfort in a bad dream. Kind of an interesting thing to say. The brothers tried to get through the doorway at the same time and ended up in a tangled heap on the floor. "What's going on, boys?" Dad demanded to know. Nathan and Alex started talking at the same time. Both boys were breathless, but they told Dad about the stranger down the hall. By the time Nathan got the description of the red shirt, okay, we're going to make our small note and then move on. It was like a nightlight. That's a simile, remember? But this isn't a poem, but we still see similes in other kinds of writing. So if it's like a nightlight offering comfort from a bad dream, like how doesn't a nightlight make us feel? It makes us feel safer or better. So I'm on the side I'm going to write makes them feel safer or better. And then what happens is that Nathan sees him too, and then they run to Dad. Okay, this page is a little longer, so we're going to go ahead and split it. After paragraph 18, Alex was calling it a scarlet cape. Dad lifted his chin and arched his eyebrows. "And you said this stranger was really huge?" Dad asked. Alex nodded. "Well then, let's go take a look," Dad said. Even with their father along, the boys didn't want to return to the scary creature. "Come on, boys, it'll be fine," Dad assured them. What does it mean to assure someone? I see a context clue in the next sentence. So, "Come on now, boys, it will be fine," Dad assured them. "I promise I won't let anything bad happen to you." Assured and promise mean the same thing. So they gave us a context clue for that one. He led them back to where they had last seen the mysterious stranger. Just before they got to the hallway that led to the break room, Dad turned on a light switch. Then he looked around the corner to the end of the hall. The boys heard him chuckle. "Okay," he said to Alex, "your turn." Slowly, Alex leaned around the corner and looked, and he leaned a little further. Finally, he stepped all the way into the hallway. There, down the hall, was his own reflection staring back at him. It was almost as if his reflection were teasing him. It was bad enough to have an older brother who sometimes made fun of him. Now he could see himself doing the same thing. So was there actually a stranger in the hallway? No, there was not. It was their reflection. And you know how sometimes when you see your reflection, it's a little distorted depending on what you're looking at. So it makes sense that they would think it was a big, tall, scary thing. Okay. Dad smiled. "I guess neither of you noticed the new mirror at the end of the hall." Nathan's mouth formed a grin, and Alex started to laugh. Their mysterious stranger was no stranger after all. Even Nathan hadn't examined the situation closely enough to notice that Alex was wearing his bright red soccer jersey. "Hey, where's that gum I wanted?" Dad asked. Nathan's cheeks began to feel hot. He was thankful that Dad hadn't seen the gum on the break room floor. "I'll go get it," he said quickly. "By the way," Alex said, "that stranger told me he doesn't like mint, so next time, he and I vote for strawberry." Okay, so at the end of the story, Alex is just making a joke there, but they realize there is nothing to be scared of. We can think about a possible theme for this story, and I'm thinking that things are not always what they first seem to be. So things are not always what they appear. We always want to look for theme when we're reading a realistic fiction story or any fiction story, because there will probably be a question about it. Okay, guys, I'm going to make a separate video for the questions, so I'm going to let you get off and annotate yours, and then you can also check out my video with the questions.